I think that we have to take a moment not just to turn on, but to turn completely off.
I've heard, though, that you give that advice to young people as well. And as a telco CEO, I also think I've heard that you've told them they should unplug from their cell phone some of the time. Why would you give them that kind of dipshit advice?
True. I actually have gotten in a lot of trouble for actually saying that.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Sidekicks Conversations. I'm Mike Sievert, and today we are with none other than Marc Benioff, the co-founder
Thanks for
and
coming to
CEO
San Francisco, Mike.
Of Salesforce.
We're happy to have you here.
Well, thanks for having
Welcome.
us at Salesforce Tower. As people can see,
How do you
we've
like the
taken
view?
Sidekicks on the road. The view is incredible. We're on the 60th floor of Salesforce Tower?
You are almost at the top floor. Next time we'll take you to the top.
I feel like every time we hear you talk, you are saying incredible things about philanthropy and about the future of business and the importance of business to our society, about technology and where it's headed, about our planet. But I don't hear you talk a lot about yourself. So I thought we might just start off there and hear a little bit more about your origin story. And I've heard you were selling software as a teenager.
I was doing two things. I was writing software at home called Liberty Software, writing like adventure games on a Atari 800 and an Apple II and a Commodore 64.
I had a Commodore 64 and I had a TRS-80
Commodore 64 was
Model
great.
1.
I had a Model 1. That was my first piece of software, how to juggle, actually. I actually sold that first piece of software to a little company in Goleta, which is in Santa Barbara, for $75. And I was in business, I think I was 14. What's that?
Yeah, what did you do with the money?
I think we used it to buy the next computer. That's like, I think what I'm still working on, everyone's still buying their next computer. But yeah, right down here, Computerland at Belmont, we were like, writing software, putting computers together, selling computers, and I loved it right at the beginning of the whole industry. It was amazing.
That was a pivotal time in the history of technology, right? Desktop computing was arriving in the 80s, and it changed everything. I feel like the web changed everything in '96 in very profound ways, and smartphones came along. And do you feel like we're living in an era of change right now that's as significant as all those? When you were first,
so much about talking about me was a fast transition. This is a fast transition.
Yeah. Well, look,
I think that I think that you're right. We have moved into this amazing tech world. We've kind of gone from these early days, we're working at home on our computers, and now we're working at home on our computers. So here we are.
Did you have any idea when you were younger that could you possibly picture anything like this world that we live in today?
I am surprised mostly by what I see right now. I feel like, when we were just talking, watch that movie Minority Report, I never really thought I would think that's what our future was going to exactly be like. But then to see the demonstrations of this technology today, or the next level of artificial intelligence, or we call generative AI, and these, the potential for artificial general intelligence, this idea that we're moving into a world that's much smarter, more real time, everything is more automated. That was not really a world that I thought that I would see in our lifetimes. But I think we are going to see it in our lifetimes, and it's happening very fast.
What's different about it? I mean, with PCs and with the web and with mobile, in some ways it's us directing the machine, right? I'm pulling out my phone, I'm launching an app, I'm interacting with only that app. It's responding to my input. Is the fundamental change that now computing is going to be telling us what we should be doing on the app, or telling us the relevant information?
Well, I think that this is a question that's out there, and I think a lot of it is going to have to do with decisions that leaders in our industry are going to make. There's kind of three phases of computing, as we've kind of seen, which is there's definitely a moment where we're telling the computer what to do and we're watching it do. We're joking about our Commodore 64s. I remember very well, writing a piece of software on the Commodore 64 that I wrote when I was 16, probably not something I should have written, which was called The Bartender, which was a mixed drink database, so it's very appropriate that we have this beer in front of us. But this idea that we're telling the computer what to do and we're directing it, and it's kind of just giving us more productivity. That's kind of like phase one. Now we're kind of beginning to enter phase two, which is this idea where we're interacting with the software. We're engaged with it. It's communicating. I just saw the new version of Slack yesterday, and this idea that Slack is much more awake and aware, and I'm not just communicating with my employees, but all of a sudden it says, hey, have you thought about this? Because I just saw that you have an incredible new product being developed by this team and you're not plugged into that channel. Let's plug you into that channel and let's get some advice from you in this area. How does it know this? And it's
it can read all the channels for you and tell you what's relevant.
It's engaging with us. So that we're moving from phase one, which is, we're clearly directing it and it's improving our productivity, to phase two where it's improving our productivity through engagement. So it's moved from a kind of a system of record to a system of engagement. But now are we moving into this kind of system of intelligence where it's more in control? That's the Minority Report idea. Mm-hmm. That's the scary thing that I think we all need to be doing a big, hard think on and think about our businesses and what we're doing into the tech industry, because we're not there yet. So we better start thinking now, what kind of world do we want to get created as all this technology unfolds?
And we have to think about how to do it safely, right? I mean, obviously companies need to be in control, or we operate with laws that say we have to have controls, we have to have safety and security, we have to know facts from not facts. And in these early days of AI, it's a scary world for business leaders to think about ceding a little of that control, but also to think about how to not fall behind, while at the same time knowing if I forge ahead, I have to find a way to do it with safety and security.
Responsibility.
Yeah.
So I think this is a key part. How do you think about responsibility at T-Mobile?
Well, for us, we have the data of 115 million customers, and so obviously it's, nothing's more important. And at the same time, we're in the process of trying to figure out how do we create a curated experience for every single one of those customers that's going to make them love T-Mobile and feel so happy to be, with us and deepen their relationship with us. That's what loving customers is about. And so we need the data to serve that end. And ultimately, that's to the customer's benefit, but we need to do it with security and safety in mind.
See, our number one word that we're really are focusing on is trust. And I think that we're really trying to get down to, we want to make sure that at a deep level, we have trust as our highest value in our company, and that we never give that up. That is also the technology that we're building, but also the relationship that we have each other, and also even with the communities that we operate in, like here in San Francisco.
What makes you so curious about this stuff? I feel like Salesforce has become the global leader in what it does because, in part, you personally see around corners. You saw cloud computing coming before anybody else did. You saw how CRM could change companies deeply, and that it shouldn't be done the old way with floppy disks and big static databases. And now, of course, you're transforming the way people interact, the way marketers market, the way data is thought about. You're obviously deeply interested in AI. What drives you to be so curious about these things? How have you seen around corners? Because right now, whenever anybody talks to you, you're living 3, 4, 5 years down the road.
Well, I think number one is you see we have in the last 25 years, we've gone through 3 amazing motions. You've mentioned a couple of them: the cloud, social, and mobile. And now we're moving into the 4th big one here with AI. There's no question that this is the most exciting technology of our lifetime, or as one of my really good friend from high school, who was my partner in my high school software company, said to me, not just the most exciting technology of our lifetime, the most exciting technology of any lifetime. I think that probably I was very fortunate that maybe 35 years ago, I started to get a little bit more interested in mindfulness and have a mindfulness practice, because what I try to do every single morning is take some time to stop all my thinking and try to meditate a little bit and get in a quiet space and try to come down. I think in a world that today where everything is happening so fast, or you and I are CEOs of these companies, whatever that even means today. And I think that we have to take a moment not just to turn on, but to turn completely off.
But does that mean, I've heard though that you give that advice to young people as well. And as a telco CEO, I also think I've heard that you've told them they should unplug from their cell phone some of the time. Why would you give them that kind of dipshit advice?
true. I actually have gotten in a lot of trouble for actually saying that. No, I think that we're all addicted to these technologies and these devices. It's horrible. I think for somebody like me, where it's like my mind is like very creative, ADHD type mind, where it's like so many things are happening. I need to like calm down, you know. And
you do that every day?
And also I need to like, about to come up to, I told you I'm going to take a vacation in a few days that I do twice a year. And I will leave my computer and my phone and everything at home. And then, you know, they're going to have to send smoke signals if they want to try to, you know, communicate with me. And I need it. I don't know how you feel, but I just, and by the way, during those moments, that's when I start to have those breakthroughs where I start to say, oh, wait, this is what's actually what I really want right now, not just for Salesforce, but for myself, for my family, for my health. Like, what is really my intention right now? What do I really want? And also, what's really important? What are my values right now? Like, we talked about the importance, I think, of trust right now in a time of AI. Like, is trust the highest value that we're going to be able to hold companies to? I think we saw, like, when we were in cloud, certainly in social and in mobile, that different companies had different values. And as those different values resonated, consumers and customers also resonated with those different values. In this AI world, trust and responsibility are going to come up very fast as being these guiding values. It's going to be very critical.
To young people that look up to you as a trailblazer, how do you how do you talk to them about this moment that we're in? What kind of advice
I think that we're in a world still where we're a little bit coming out of the pandemic. You know, we had this crazy pandemic. And it was my first pandemic. I'd never been through anything quite like it before. I think we're at a moment where that idea of stakeholder capitalism, like, you know, when I went to school and when I went to college, it was all about the business of business is business. That it's about Milton Friedman. It's about, hey, business is about one thing, making profit. Now it's about, hey, are we coming together as community? Are we not only building great products, doing right with our customers, doing right with ourselves, but also supporting, you know, what we're doing here in our cities? And I think certainly in our cities, we've seen a lot of transformation in San Francisco, where we are right now, or in Seattle. I've been up there as well. I can see that you have a lot of the same challenges that we have here.
Absolutely.
That idea that our businesses can be, you know, a force for good and transformation or stability. I think that even when you extracted the businesses from some of these downtowns during the pandemic, it created some of the
I love that you say that, because it's not just about making an impact on a global scale, things like sustainability. It's about your role and our role in each of our two communities.
But we have to ask that question, what are we doing with this business right now to improve the state of the world? And I think that kind of yields the right question. Then as it comes together with this technology that's like so game-changing, that is where I think we can find a lot of these answers. And a lot of them, I think, to your point, are going to come out of the people that we're hiring right now. Because I think the way they look at business, the way that they look at Salesforce is different than when you and I, how old are you now, Mike?
54.
54, and I am 58, okay? So we're not entering the workforce right now. We're getting ready to exit the workforce, right? So people who are entering the workforce, you know, who are a lot younger than we are coming in. They have a different mindset. They grew up digital. They grew up in social networks. They grew up on Roblox or on these different platforms or with a phone. You know, the phone. This isn't their first phone, right? They don't know about the phones that we had. They're like, BlackBerry, yeah, I had some for breakfast. That was great. So this has to be a new moment where we kind of look at the world new, and we have to also, I think, delegate to them and say, hey, where do you want to take this company, and what does inspire you, and how do you want to move this forward?
I love it. It's a great vision. Matt, you're an inspiration. Thank you. And thank you for talking with me.
Well, Mike, it's always great to see you. Thanks for coming down to see me. I was sorry we couldn't do it in Seattle, but wow. Great to have you in San Francisco.
Yeah, thanks, man. And that's it for Sidekicks Conversations for today. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you later.